we are told a comforting fairy tale about Princess Diana's legacy. When we see Kate Middleton wearing that famous blue sapphire engagement ring, or Meghan Markle wearing her aquamarine cocktail ring, we smile. We assume Diana's iconic jewelry box was safely and lovingly handed down to her sons, William and Harry. But the truth is much colder and far more calculating. Because of strict royal loopholes, lifetime loans, and unpaid bills at the time of her tragic death, the royal family allowed pieces of Diana's history to be auctioned off to reality TV stars and foreign billionaires. They didn't protect her legacy. They let the free market carve it up. When Diana was stripped of her Royal Highness title in 1996, she wasn't just stripped of her status. She was forced by royal lawyers to open her private safe and return millions of dollars worth of diamonds to the Queen's vault. Other pieces, items she wore during her final, most iconic public appearances, were quietly sold off to the highest bidder while the palace looked the other way. Today, some of Princess Diana's most famous jewels are not locked in Kensington Palace. They are not worn by her granddaughters. They are sitting in the private safes of Texas furniture tycoons, Ukrainian oligarchs, and American celebrities. Why did the crown allow her image to be sold off to strangers? Which iconic pieces were ruthlessly ripped away from her before she even died? And what happened to the jewels she wore when she famously rebelled against the monarchy? This is the hidden map of Princess Diana's lost jewels, and the story of how the palace let her legacy slip away. To understand exactly how the palace failed to protect her memory, we only need to look at an auction that shocked the world in January 2023. The piece in question is known as the Atala Cross. It is a massive, incredibly bold pendant made of square-cut amethysts and 5.2 carats of circular diamonds arranged in a floral design. Diana famously wore it in October 1987 to a charity gala in London. She paired it with a dramatic black and purple velvet Catherine Walker dress, wearing the giant cross on a long pearl chain that reached her waist. It was rebellious. It was huge. It was pure Diana, a brilliant mix of aristocratic weight and 1980s high fashion. But Diana didn't actually own it. It was loaned to her by her close friend, Naim Atala, the former chief executive of the historic jewelry house Asprey and Garrard. After her death, the cross was put away. It wasn't seen in public for decades. The Atala family kept it hidden, preserving the memory of the only woman to ever wear it, until it appeared at Sotheby's. When it went to auction, the royal watching world held its breath. Everyone expected the royal family to step in. The public assumed, almost demanded, that the palace would buy it for Prince William or Prince Harry. It was an opportunity to preserve their mother's memory, to keep her iconic image out of the hands of strangers, and to place it in a museum where it belonged. But the palace didn't bid a single dollar. They watched in absolute silence. Instead, a bidding war broke out, and the hammer came down at nearly $200,000. The secret buyer operating through a representative? Kim Kardashian. The internet erupted in outrage. To royal purists, seeing a sacred piece of Diana's fashion history, a symbol of her charity work, bought as a pop culture trophy by a reality television star, was the ultimate insult. But the blame doesn't lie with the buyer. It lies with the institution. It proved that without the crown's financial protection, Diana's image is just a commodity. The pieces she made famous don't belong to her bloodline. They belong to whoever writes the biggest. The Atala Cross was an old loan, but our next missing treasure reveals an even darker side of the luxury jewelry market. This piece was custom-made for Diana, worn just 2 months before her death. It is known as the Swan Lake Suite. In June 1997, Diana attended a gala performance of Swan Lake at the Royal Albert Hall. She was the patron of the English National Ballet. She arrived wearing a sparkling blue dress by Jacques Azaguri and a dazzling, intricate necklace made of 178 Marquise diamonds and 5 massive South Sea pearls. The paparazzi photos from that night are legendary. She looked radiant, independent, and free. But the deeply tragic part? The jewelry wasn't finished. The crown jeweler, Garrard, had designed the necklace based on Diana's own ideas, but they were still working on the matching earrings. Diana wore the necklace for that single evening and then handed it back to the jeweler so they could complete the set. She never lived to see those earrings. She died in the Paris car crash that August. It was a physical piece of her last summer on Earth. It was drenched in historical and emotional value. Instead of the palace stepping in to secure this deeply emotional artifact for her grieving teenage sons, they did absolutely nothing. The jeweler, realizing they were holding a morbid piece of history, capitalized on the tragedy. Just months after her death, with the world still in mourning, the suite was sold to an anonymous American businessman. From there, it became a billionaire's trading card. In 2010, it was bought by a Ukrainian billionaire for nearly $600,000. When the war in Ukraine disrupted his finances, it passed into the hands of Jim Mackingvale, a Texas furniture tycoon, who kept it hidden in a vault. It recently went up for auction again through Guernsey's, carrying an estimated price tag of $15 million. Let that sink in. A necklace that cost a few tens of thousands of dollars to make is now worth $15 million, entirely because a princess wore it weeks before she died. It moves from safe to safe, trading entirely on the memory of a dead woman, while the crown looks the other way. The true story of Diana's jewelry is a masterclass in power, money, and protocol. If you are captivated by the hidden, sometimes ruthless truths behind royal doors, please take a second to hit the like button and subscribe. It helps us reveal more secrets of the royal vaults. While the free market claimed her final necklace, the palace itself claimed the jewelry of her most defiant moment. Think of June 1994. It is the night Prince Charles goes on national television and publicly admits his adultery with Camilla Parker Bowles. That same evening, Diana stepped out at the Serpentine Gallery wearing a form-fitting, off-the-shoulder black silk dress. It went down in history as the revenge dress, but look closely at the jewelry she paired with it. Clinging to her neck on a 7-strand pearl choker was a monstrously large, oval, sapphire brooch surrounded by 2 rows of diamonds. This wasn't just a pretty accessory. It was a massive statement of power. The sapphire brooch had been given to Diana as a wedding present by the Queen Mother. By wearing a gift from the very heart of the royal establishment on the night she publicly humiliated the heir to the throne, Diana was sending a message. She was using their own jewels to outshine them. But what happened to this magnificent sapphire after her death? It vanished. Because it was a gift from the Queen Mother, and likely contained a clause keeping it within the royal collection, it was quietly returned to the royal vaults after Diana passed away. Neither Kate Middleton nor Meghan Markle has ever worn it. It has not been put on public display. Many royal experts believe the palace deliberately locked it away. The sapphire is too closely associated with the revenge dress and the darkest chapter of Charles's public life. To let Kate wear it would invite comparisons. To display it would remind the world of Diana's victory that night. So, the crown did what the crown does best. They buried it in a vault, erasing a symbol of her defiance from the public eye. The confiscation of the sapphire was quiet, but the confiscation of her most famous crown was loud, legal, and humiliating. When we think of Princess Diana, we think of her wearing the Cambridge Lover's Knot tiara, commissioned by Queen Mary in 1913. It is a towering wall of diamonds with 19 swinging, drop-shaped pearls. It is magnificent, but it was also an instrument of torture. The tiara was notoriously heavy. Diana famously complained that the swinging pearls would hit her, and the sheer weight of the platinum and diamonds gave her terrible, blinding migraines. Yet, because it was expected of her, it became her absolute signature crown. She suffered for the image of royalty. But here is the cold reality of royal loopholes. Despite the pain she endured wearing it, it was never hers. It was given to her by Queen Elizabeth II as a wedding gift, but the fine print stated it was a lifetime loan. When Diana and Charles finalized their bitter divorce in 1996, The royal family's lawyers were merciless. Diana lost her HRH title. She lost her royal security, and she was forced to open her safe and hand the lover's knot tiara back to the Queen. Imagine the humiliation. The most photographed woman in the world, stripped of her royal armor. For the last year of her life, if Diana wanted to attend a state event, she had no royal tiara to wear. She had been demoted. Today, the lover's knot is frequently worn by Kate Middleton, the new Princess of Wales. It looks beautiful. But for those who know the history, it carries a chilling reminder. The crown always takes back its property, no matter how much you suffered for it. Because the crown confiscated the lover's knot, millions of people assume Diana's sons at least inherited her other famous crown, the Spencer tiara. This is the delicate, scrolling diamond diadem she wore on her wedding day in 1981. It is the tiara that defined the 20th century fairy tale, sitting perfectly atop her veil. Surely Prince William or Prince Harry owns it today, right? They do not. The Spencer tiara is not royal property. It belongs to the aristocratic Spencer family. Specifically, it belongs to Diana's brother, Charles, the 9th Earl Spencer. The Spencers are one of Britain's oldest and wealthiest aristocratic families. In many ways, their lineage is older than the Windsors, and they operate by strict, ancient rules of primogeniture, meaning family heirlooms pass down the male line to keep the estate intact. Diana's older sisters, Jane and Sarah, wore the tiara at their weddings. Diana borrowed it for hers. She was allowed to use it for various diplomatic banquets throughout the 1980s, but she could never, ever own it. And more importantly, she could never pass it down to William or Harry. When Diana died, the tiara immediately returned to the Spencer Vault at Althorp House. While Earl Spencer has occasionally loaned it out for museum exhibitions, it will eventually be inherited by his own son, Louis, Viscount Althorp. William's children, Prince George, Princess Charlotte, and Prince Louis, have no legal claim to the crown that made their grandmother a global icon. The most famous wedding tiara in history is locked behind the iron gates of a completely different estate. The crown's obsession with control forces us to look at how Diana famously rebelled with the jewels she was allowed to use. One of her most iconic, rule-breaking fashion moments occurred in Melbourne, Australia, in 1985. She wore a stunning Art Deco emerald and diamond choker, but she didn't wear it around her neck. She wore it tightly across her forehead as a 1920s-style headband. It was youthful. It was daring. The press went absolutely wild, praising her for modernizing royal fashion. But the truth behind this moment is hilarious, and the palace's reaction was furious. According to royal biographers, wearing it as a headband was an accident. Diana tried to put the tight choker over her head instead of unclasping it, and it got stuck. Instead of panicking, she laughed and decided to just leave it there for the evening. But the old guard at Buckingham Palace did not find it funny. That choker was not a cheap fashion accessory. It was the Queen Mary Emerald Choker. It was created from emeralds, gifted by the ladies of India during the Delhi Durbar in 1911. It was an artifact of the British Empire. Diana's brilliant, accidental styling choice was seen by royal traditionalists as a disrespectful stunt. She was treating a priceless royal heirloom like a disco accessory. It was as if the palace wanted to erase the memory of Diana wearing it on her forehead. It only recently resurfaced in 2022, when Kate Middleton wore it, very safely around her neck, to the Earthshot Prize in Boston. The underlying message from the palace was clear. Diana didn't own the emeralds. She merely borrowed them. And the moment she stepped out of line and left the family, her access was permanently revoked. So, if the crown took back the tiaras and the billionaires bought the necklaces, what happened to the things she actually owned? Diana did receive spectacular personal gifts from foreign monarchs. The most famous was a staggering wedding gift from the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. It was an Asprey suite containing a massive Burmese sapphire pendant, a matching watch, earrings, and a bracelet. Because it was a personal wedding gift, it technically belonged to her, not the crown. But Diana was a modern woman. She didn't like heavy, matching sets. She dismantled the Saudi suite. She took the velvet strap of the sapphire watch and famously wore it as a choker. She turned rings into earrings. By the rules of her will, her personal jewelry was supposed to be divided between her sons so that their future wives could wear them. And they did. The engagement ring went to Kate. The aquamarine ring went to Meghan. But the rest of her massive collection? It has been broken apart. When items disappear without explanation in the world of high jewelry, they often end up sold behind closed doors to settle her estate, to pay death duties, or simply because the pieces were too heavily modified. Large portions of her personal gifts were dismantled, loose stones were reset. Even the gifts she did keep were carved up. The sheer volume of wealth given to her by foreign royals vanished into the private market, absorbed by anonymous collectors in Geneva or Hong Kong, traded as untouchable relics. We want to believe that Princess Diana's legacy is perfectly preserved. We want to believe that Prince William and Prince Harry hold the keys to her entire glittering life, safe behind palace walls. But the reality of royal protocol and high finance is deeply unforgiving. The ultimate tragedy is that her personal collection was fragmented, while the pieces she made famous were ruthlessly reclaimed by the crown or sold off to the highest bidder. A bitter divorce allowed the palace to strip her of her royal tiaras. A tragic, sudden death allowed jewelers to sell her unfinished masterpieces for profit, and the inaction of the royal family allowed reality stars and Texas billionaires to buy up the rest. Her jewelry box was raided by protocol, carved up by lawyers, and scattered across the globe. In the end, the most iconic treasures of the people's princess belonged to everyone, except her. What do you think is the greatest injustice in this story? Should the palace have stepped in to buy back the Swan Lake suite and the Atala cross? Or was the Queen right to demand the lover's knot tiara back after the divorce? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if you want to see how the Crown treats its other controversial and stolen jewels, click on the video on your screen right now. I will see you in the next chapter of history.